A comic panel can last 1 second or an entire lifetime, and that's something no other medium can do. Hi, I'm Hayden, and in the modern day of reboots, continuations, adaptations, you name it, it's really easy for studios and fans alike to look at pre-existing source material like comics as a blueprint rather than art that stands on its own. If you're a fan of the animated show, there's a high chance that you're aware of some of the discourse surrounding it, most notably the several complaints about the animation quality. You've probably seen a post with a panel from the comic next to a still from the show with the caption like, I don't know, something like, "The downgrade is unbelievable." And I know the animation quality isn't on par with Jujutsu Kaisen or any other premier anime for that matter, but come on guys, we're comparing apples to oranges here. The reason you can see every single scale and vein on Dinosaurus in the comics is because that image was never meant to move. I love seeing some of my favorite characters and stories come to life in a new way, reimagined in animation or live action. But regardless of how faithful the adaptation is, good or bad, it doesn't overwrite the source material. The Invincible comic shouldn't be viewed solely as a storyboard for the show. Comics are a unique medium with their own strengths. One of my favorites being they let the reader control time, and that's because comics don't move. The stillness of comics gives readers a degree of control over the momentum of the story. Comic book authors and artists aren't just throwing pictures and words on the page and hoping it works. Comics have their own visual grammar. Gutters and panel sizes are two tools that comics use to give their stories creative and unique effects. Now, if you're unfamiliar, gutters are similar to like the gutters at a bowling alley. It's the empty space between panels, and the size and shape of those gutters can kind of influence how a reader paces the story. Sometimes authors will forego the gutter entirely to imply one moment bleeding in or taking over the previous. Now, panel sizes inherently denote importance. A full page splash is gonna hold more weight than a smaller rectangle in the corner, but weight and importance aren't the same as time. In a movie, the amount of time you spend with a character is objective. Yeah, of course you might feel like a scene's dragging or taking more time than someone else does, but a 2-minute scene is a 2-minute scene, and a 2.5-hour movie is a 2.5-hour movie. Books are similar. The pacing ultimately comes down to the creator, but comics, it's different. It's up to you. Think of it kind of like an art museum. You see a piece, it catches your eye, you walk up to it. As you're approaching that piece, you see someone else already captivated by it. You sit with it, examine it for however long you need, but once you feel like everything has been extrapolated, you walk away. But as you're walking away, turn around, that same person is still entranced by that painting. That's why the stillness of comics is so effective. A panel can last 1 second or 5 minutes. Comics don't force you forward, they wait for you. Let's bring it back to spoilers for season 2, by the way. A pivotal moment for Mark in this series is when he's fighting Angstrom Levy. The fight concludes with Mark killing or believing that he killed Angstrom. I think both the comic and the show do a wonderful job at tackling this moment. It's one of the first time Mark canonically kills someone. Let's take a look at the comic. Here we see Mark punching Angstrom in a sequence of panels with similar framing, with each one zooming in closer on Mark's face as he gets drenched with blood. The repetitive nature of the panels is a stark difference from the onomatopoeia decorated punches often associated with comics. Mark is putting everything he has into these punches, and the show captures a similar effect very well. But the difference lies when Mark faces the brutality of his actions and realizes the significance of the blood on his hands. Now don't get me wrong, the moment hits hard in this show, but only for so long before zooming out into the landscape and cutting to commercial. But in the splash page we get in the comic, we're allowed to sit with Mark, hunched over Angstrom's lifeless body. The comic gives readers permissions to sit with the grief, loss, and silence for as long as they need to. A modern book that really exemplifies this idea is Absolute Martian Manhunter. Now, if you haven't been reading, Absolute Martian Manhunter follows John Jones, a human FBI agent who, after experiencing a head injury, gains a degree of psychic abilities and befriends the Martian. No, not from Mars literally, but he's kind of like a being from beyond our understanding. From the very first issue, Camp and Rodriguez, the author and artist for the book, invite readers to participate in engaging with the story in a unique way through Martian vision. Towards the end of the book, it instructs readers to hold the page up to the light to reveal a new layered image. The series is constantly talking about perception and reality and often plays with time in a unique way, and the comic medium allows for these visual experiences unlike any other. The 5th issue takes place during a citywide blackout, and throughout the issue you hear people saying like, I feel like it's been days, or this night's gonna last forever, but in reality it's probably only been one night. But the dialogue, paneling, and non-linear storytelling kind of start to distort your sense of time and almost encourage you to linger a little bit longer with each panel. One of the standout moments from this first arc or trade is when John's having a pretty difficult conversation about the state of his relationship with his wife Bridget, and he lights a cigarette. Now, it wasn't the biggest, flashiest, or most intricate panel, but my eyes really held on the image of the lighter and the cigarette. Now, to preface, John is seen smoking like all the time through this book, it's almost on every page, but he's smoking so much it almost becomes normal and barely noticeable. So to see Camp designate 2 panels to John lighting up juxtapose the casual nature of his habit as we've seen previously. Not only that, but this moment comes directly after a pretty confrontational statement from Bridget. John lighting up is his response. It said a lot about his character, and I was able to just sit with John and his cigarette in a way I wouldn't have been able to in a TV show or a movie unless the director thought it was crucial. In Hollywood, they often say the film is made in the edit. That's because the editing room is where the film's rhythm, pacing, and story are actually constructed. In comics, you get to be your own editor, control the pace and time. That's something you can't do with anything else. Like, you could pause a movie or reread a line in a book, but that's not typically how you engage with those mediums. With comics, it's encouraged and even sort of required. You have to look at these images, so therefore you get to decide how long you do it for. This isn't me saying that comics are objectively better than any other medium, just that they're unique. Comics don't allow us to see these characters in motion. We're given fragments of their lives, their stories, moments, panels. And in exchange, we get to stay with these characters for as long as we like, or as long as we need to. Maybe that's why comics stay with us differently. They don't rush us through moments, they let us live inside of them. If you made it this far, thank you so much. I really want to continue making videos and create a space where we can sit and talk about our favorite characters and stories. So if you like comics, superheroes, manga, and anime, please like, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.